So today we are going to talk about for how much should we sell our product. So because I see a lot of D2C brands selling their products at random prices like 2x, 3x and don't really know that okay how much is left, like how much is the profit. So let's say our selling price is at 500 rupees and the GST rate I've taken by default is 18%. The cost of goods on this particular unit is 100 rupees. Shipping forward is 70 rupees. Payment gateway fees is 2%. RTO rate is 15%. Return shipping fees is 70 rupees. Lost cost of goods I have not taken anything for now, but other miscellaneous cost, packaging, printing, all of that I've taken at 10 rupees per order. And your planned CAC, your cost of acquisition of a new customer is 100 rupees. Now, according to this math, if I'm selling at 500 rupees and my CAC is 100 rupees, my ROAS is 5. And like this is like inclusive of GST. And this CAC is exclusive of GST. Now, on the right hand side, my net revenue is 424 rupees. So basically, I exclude the GST from 500. Payment gateway fees is 10 rupees according to 2% payment gateway. Expected RTO is 11, pricing is 11, so basically 15% RTO, and 70 rupees is the your reverse RTO. Variable cost before ads, it is 201. So like what is variable cost before ads? Basically whenever you get an order, all the cost that is incurred in delivering that order before obviously your cost of ads, we have taken it here. So what does it include? It includes your cost of goods, your shipping fees, payment gateway fees, your other variable cost. We get our variable cost here. Then your contribution margin 1. So contribution margin 1 is your net revenue subtracted by the variable cost. We'll get this contribution margin 1 and the break even ROAS. So at what ROAS we'll break even? So that is 1.9, and the maximum CAC max that we can spend on acquiring one customer is 201 rupees. So that is basically your variable cost before ads. Now, how do we get this break-even ROAS? Is you divide 1 by your CM1 percentage. You'll get that. And then your contribution margin 2. So basically how much money is left after we acquire one customer. So here, how do we calculate this? So basically your CM1 subtracted by your CAC will get CM2. And basically this is your profitability before CM3 and EBITDA. So CM3 includes your branding and influencer, all of that cost, and in EBITDA you exclude your fixed cost. So now let's quickly look at this calculation. And so on our dashboard we see a ROAS of 5. If we are selling something for 500 rupees, our CAC is 100 rupees, that's very obvious. But how much is left? Like how much really is the CM2, or in this case let's say what would be our profit? I'm not taking CM3 and EBITDA in here, we are just talking about this 123 rupees we are left with. So let me make it a little bit more realistic. So if you're selling something for 500 rupees, then CAC at 100 rupees is like very hopeful. Like everybody wants this ROAS of 5 on the dashboard, but we rarely get this 100 unless the product is like really in trend or you have found a perfect product market fit. So let me be a little bit more realistic and let me take a CAC of 230 rupees here. So suddenly we see that CM2 is -7. So on acquiring every new customer, we are losing 7 rupees. Now we can say that okay, in long term we should do this for the sake of growth, and in the long term we will get those customers back, the returning customers, and it will cover this loss. But we have to also take in the account that the product that I'm selling, will it really have a good returning customer rate, and how much returning customer rate do we really need in order to cover this loss. One more thing that you'll notice here now, and our ROAS on dashboard, it shows 2.17. So our ROAS is more than the break even. So like why are we in loss here? What's happening? Thing is, I'm calculating this ROAS. The ROAS on the dashboard is calculated on the basis of your selling price divided by this CAC. Like how we should be calculating our ROAS is on the net revenue, which is 424 rupees, and we can take this CAC, which is basically exclusive of GST. But in case you have to also take into account this GST number into your CAC, what you can do is basically 230. So this is your CAC 230, 18% is the GST that you pay to Facebook. This would be our actual CAC. I take this CAC, then our actual ROAS would be 1.56. We're getting 1.6 ROAS, and then our break even is 1.9. Suddenly we are losing money, right? and that feels really bad. So now what do we do? Very first thought that people get is that, okay, I have to lower my CAC. And obviously you should be lowering your CAC. Let's say, let's see one more thing here. Let's see if we control this RTO percentage, what happens then. So right now if it is 15%, let's see if I'm able to control it with a partial COD, WhatsApp confirmation, call confirmation. Let's say if I'm able to control it at 10%, then suddenly you are in loss still, but at 4 rupees less. And let's do one more thing. So if my COGS is 100 rupees, and let's say if I'm able to get my product from some other supplier or vendor at 90 rupees, I'm in profit. Keeping everything same, keeping my CAC same, if I'm able to tweak these other metrics even a tiny bit, I'm able to get into profit. Now obviously it is not like brands are going to not going to hire the media buyers and freelancers and consultants. So let's say you hire an agency or a consultant and your CAC gets down. Let's say from 230 it drops to 200 rupees, then your CM2 is 37, which is amazing, right? Now let's look at one more scenario here. Let's say if we have to increase our CM2 because our CM1 percentage is pretty healthy and I have to increase my CM2. How do we do that? Instant thought that one would get in their mind is, okay, what if I lower my CAC even more? You can do that. But what if you started selling a bundle of two? So you're selling, let's say, something for 500 rupees. Let's say you sell a pack of two, and you sell a pack of two at say 899 rupees. And since you're selling this at 899 rupees, basically the cost of good would double. So our cost of good would be 180 rupees. We are making 277 rupees, which is much better than what we are making before selling only one unit. Now you would say that, okay, double the cogs, which is fine, and selling price is 899 from 500 rupees, but then wouldn't my shipping cost would also increase? So yes, we can take that into account as well. So let's say your shipping cost becomes what, 130 rupees, and your return shipping also becomes 130 rupees, and then still you're making 211 rupees, which is still really good. But then a more realistic scenario would be that if we have increased our average order value, then wouldn't my CAC also increase? Because now I'm selling pack of two, but the AOV has increased. So what about my CAC? So let's say your CAC also increases, and it increases by 30 rupees, so 230. You're still doing 181 at your CM2 level, and your break-even ROAS is 1.8, and your actual ROAS is 2.8. And you might say that, okay, no, it will increase a bit more. So let's say if it increases from 200, like 50 rupees more, but still you're making 161 rupees, which is still better than selling a single product, right? Instead of focusing on your CAC, if we just focused on increasing the AOV, suddenly our CM2 has increased. And now let's say that you put more limits on your RTO. So let's say you are able to achieve an RTO of 5% now, because you're like calling every customer, confirming the message, you're confirming the order, and then WhatsApp reminders and whatnot. So it becomes 5%. So see, your CM2 now becomes 167 rupees. So this is how you tweak each and everything in order to increase your CM2 levels, because every single rupee matters at scale.